Hello and welcome to Every Mile. Today we are in beautiful downtown Salinas, California. It's a little bit wet and rainy today, but we are here to check out the Steinbeck Center. Come with me, I'm checking it out. Now, I've been here before with the kids, but today they're out of town with their mom, so I decided to come check it out by myself. First come into the Steinbeck Center, they recommend that you go to the right. There's a theater in there where they give a biography, documentary on his life. And you can get a basic understanding of who he was, where he came from, that kind of thing. It's really cool. So let's check out some of it.
It's not taking it easy that matters, but taking it right and true. So spoke the philosopher. In America, writers are considered just below acrobats and just above seals. So the traveler told the Russian interviewer. Tortilla Flat was published by Kovici Fried. Pascal, or Pat Kovici, had sought out Steinbeck after hearing praise from an enthused bookseller. It was the beginning of another close friendship.
One of the things that I enjoy about Steinbeck is that he made it very personal in all of his stories, and so he uses names of people that he knew growing up in Salinas. This is one example of that, as he used the Steinbeck home in the novel East of Eden. One of James Dean's few movie credits is in the Steinbeck movie East of Eden, which they have a display for here. One thing I will say is this is a very kid-friendly museum. They have different activities for the kids to do, creating their own language, ciphers, all kinds of stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. We have come here before with our daughters, and they loved it. They ran around, they were able to climb into the cars and do all the different stuff. But as an adult, it's fun to come by yourself because I like reading all of the different displays. As I mentioned, this is a very kid-friendly museum where kids have an opportunity to even climb up on a saddle on the red pony and just kind of get to know a little bit more about caring for the horses.
In the mid to late 1930s, the combined effects of years of drought, bad farming practices, and Steinbeck painted this picture of the mass westward exodus of Dust Bowl migrants.
66 is the path of a people in flight, refugees from dust and shrinking land, from the thunder of tractors and shrinking ownership, from the desert's slow. From all of these, the people are in flight, and they come into 66 from the tributary side roads, from the wagon tracks and the rutted country roads. 66 is the mother road, the road of flight.
Now, when I first moved up to the Monterey Bay area, my brother suggested that I read the book Cannery Row as a way of kind of getting to know the culture of the area, getting to know a little bit of the history of the area. So I did, and I loved it. So then I read Tortilla Flats, then I read Sweet Thursday, then I just continued to read a bunch of Steinbeck books until I've gone through almost all of them, and I absolutely love them. But this section that I'm about to go through right now is about Cannery Row, and the Monterey that Steinbeck grew up with. Also a little bit on the friendship between Ed Ricketts and John Steinbeck. Ed Ricketts being the man that ran the Pacific Biological Laboratory at Cannery Row. Lee Chong's grocery store, which is also a main part of Cannery Row. In 1940, Steinbeck financed a collecting expedition with Ed Ricketts to Baja California, where they sailed on a ship called the Western Flyer. We recently were in Moss Landing, and we were able to see the Western Flyer up close and personal. In 1962, John Steinbeck was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature for his work. One of my favorite John Steinbeck books is right around the corner right here. Yeah, I'm speechless on this one. Steinbeck, being an author of America, felt like he was kind of out of the loop on how Americans actually, when he wrote Grapes of Wrath, when he wrote these other books, he took a lot of pride in knowing what these people were, because he worked hand in hand in the fields with many of them. He did all these things with the people. He knew Cannery Row because he was there. So in his later years, he decided that he was going to take the Great American Road Trip. He recorded his journey in the book Travels with Charley, where he traveled America in his truck with his dog. This is the actual truck that Steinbeck used on that journey. On this journey, he starts in New York, travels up through Maine, comes across Minnesota, the Dakotas, stops in a bunch of different places, the Great Redwoods, and then travels here to Monterey, where he grew up, and visits Salinas, climbs up the top of Fremont Peak, goes back through Southern California, all that, stops in Texas, goes in through the South, sees issues with segregation and describes those, and then comes back up to New York to complete his trip. One of the concerns that people had with him doing this journey is that he would be recognized. By this time, he was a very popular author. Many of his books were already made into movies, and so he was really worried that people would recognize him as he went out and about. The funny thing is that he says after 10,000 miles, not one time did anybody recognize who he was. And he believes that that's because people only recognize you if you're in the context of who you are and what you're doing. Overall, I highly recommend coming and checking out the Steinbeck Center in downtown Salinas. It's beautiful, it's well kept. I was lucky enough that I came on a day that it's raining, it's cold, so I literally had the entire museum to myself as I went around. I was able to take my time and read everything, and there is a lot to read here. Obviously with an author, right? It's awesome to be able to get to know a little bit more about the man that helped create Monterey into what it is today. The Steinbeck House still is here on Central Avenue. It does operate now as a restaurant. They do give tours every so often. And that concludes our day at the Steinbeck Center. Thank you for coming with me on this adventure, and we'll catch you next time.